Several things are happening today. That Julie and I we're going to Atlanta this afternoon for a funeral. In fact, I'll be doing a funeral for Patty Huckabee's mother. Many of you knew Patty Huckabee, from over at Rose Hill, and her mother passed away. If you've seen that on Facebook, but we'll be doing the funeral. And I don't know if I'll be back tonight, but Daniel will be doing the sermon tonight. And so it depends on how long it is that the funeral goes, and we'll go to graveside and such. We may go to McLeod for services tonight, or Atlanta, or maybe here. We'll see. We'll see about that. But keep that family in your prayers. It's Patsy Blank is Patty Huckabee's mother that passed away. We're in the book of Luke, chapter 5 it is. We have the reading there that Peter, Andrew, James, and John in the sailboat, as the story goes, and it is that Jesus comes up to them, and they'd been fishing all night long, it is. And it is that Jesus goes and uses that boat, and he goes and launch me out a little bit, and then I'll teach the people. And so they listen to the sermon and such, and then after that is over, he says, well, go out into the deep and cast your nets on the other side. And so when we read about that, there's several things that come up. And one of the things that come up is the obedience of Peter, Andrew, James, and John, and the others, as their servants were there, that went ahead and did what Jesus said. Peter said, Master, we've been toiling all night long. Said, we've already done this. Nevertheless, at your word, you're reading verse 4, nevertheless, at your word, we will do what you said. It's what he's saying. Because you said so, we're going to launch out into the deep. Because you said so, I know we've been doing it all night long. I know we finished fishing. We've listened to your sermon, your teaching, and you say go out one more time. We're going to look at a lot of reasons Peter could have said we're not going to do it. But just remember this. He said, nevertheless, at your word, we will do it. Keep that thought in your mind throughout this lesson this morning. It could be that he could have said, now listen, Jesus, I'm just not in the mood. I know that you said go launch out in the deep, but I'm not in the mood anymore. Someone ever said anything to ask you to do something, you say, I'm just not in the mood to do this. You know, that for whatever reason, we've been doing it all night long. We're tired. He could have said, Lord, we're tired. Do you understand that time of fishing has passed, and we did that. We didn't catch anything, but I'm just not in the mood anymore. You know, Paul told Timothy, he said here in 2 Timothy, you preach the word. You be instant, in season, out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long-suffering and doctrine. Someone once said, when he said, preach the word in season and out of season, he said, preach it when they like it and preach it when they don't like it. That's preaching in season and preaching in out of season. You know, sometimes it may be we're just not in the mood to go teach others. It could be we've tried it before. Maybe we've done it all night long before and just not in the mood to do it anymore. You know, when he said to Peter, Andrew, James, and John, come follow me and I'll make you fishers of men. And we can come up with all kinds of excuses why we shouldn't be fishers of men. Just like they said, well, we don't want to go out and fish anymore. We're just not in the mood anymore. We did it at that time, and at the time we did it, it was all right, but now we're disappointed. We hadn't caught anything, and we just don't want to do it again. Could have said that, right? Could have said, we're not in the mood. We could be the same way when he says, go and make fishers of men. We could say, Lord, I know that's what we're supposed to do. I know that we are supposed to be fishing for souls, just like they were fishing for fish. But have we ever said, I'm just not in the mood? I know we're supposed to preach the word. I know we're supposed to do it when they like it, when they don't like it, but I've done it. I haven't had responses, and I'm just not in the mood anymore. Have we thought about that? Have we thought about excuses why we're not fishing for men? Well, it could be that he could say, well, I'm not in the mood. He could have said this, well, it's just not convenient. You know, we've been all night toiling. We've been all night fishing. Here we are cleaning our nets already. It's just not convenient to go back out into the deep and cast our nets again. If it were convenient, you know, can you just imagine whenever Jesus said to the fishermen, he said, go out, launch out into the deep, cast your nets on the other side. And Peter says, because you said so, we'll do it. And he looks at the others, and you can just see them rolling their eyes like, Peter, did you just say we're going to go back out there? And then we're tired. It's not convenient to go out there again. What do you mean you go launch out one more time? We did it all night long. This is not the time to catch fish. We've been cleaning our nets, and the nets are all clean. You mean we're going to get them dirty again? Have to clean them again? It's not convenient to go do it. You know, that's what Felix said to Paul. In the book of Acts, whenever Paul reasoned with him in righteousness, temperance, and judgment to come, Felix said, at a more convenient season, righteousness. That means there is righteousness. Things that are right and things that are wrong. Said, Felix, I'm going to talk to you about things that are right. And he talked to them about temperance, which is self-control. He said, I'm going to talk to you about things that are right, and I'm going to talk to you about doing things that are right. That's self-control. And he reasoned with him about judgment. Let me tell you what is right. You do the things that are right because there is a judgment day coming. Perhaps Paul was thinking about 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 10, that he wrote to the Corinthians, and he said, we will all stand before the judgment seat of Christ to receive the things done in our body, whether they be good or bad. He said, Felix, there's a judgment day coming. Let me tell you, there are things that you need to be doing. There are things you need to get right in your life. And Felix said, you know, not right now. It's not convenient for me right now. Maybe you're thinking about a time whenever someone said to you, this thought crossed my mind. And Julie was in the kitchen doing dishes, and she said, Jerry, will you go bring me the dishes that are in the living room? And I could have said, but Julie, I'm watching a football game right now, and it's just another hour till halftime. Then I can do it, all right? Can you just wait an hour before I bring the dishes? It's not convenient right now. No, we don't say that. None of our husbands say that, right? We don't say, it's not convenient right now. We'll say, honey, what would you like? And we'll do it right now, right? Yeah. We don't say, well, it's not convenient for me to do it. You know, have we ever said to the Lord, Lord, I know we're supposed to be fishers of men, but it's not convenient right now. You see, there are other things I'd like to do in this life. I'm watching a football game. I'm talking about the weather. I'm going here and going there, and I'm just not talking to other people about becoming Christians. It's just not convenient. It just didn't come up into the conversation. Do we tell the Lord this? Do we tell him, well, Lord, I'm just not in the mood? Lord, it's just not convenient for me to tell others about Jesus. Maybe it is. We say, well, I don't understand why. You ever been asked to do something and you say, well, why do I have to do this? Teenagers, that ever happened to you? Your parents say, go clean your room, and you say, why? Why do I have to clean the room? Who's coming over, right? That's what our girls would say. Who's coming over if we have to clean the house? Why do we have to do it? You know, we're going to look at a couple of examples. Why do we have to do it? In Genesis chapter 6, God says to Noah, build an ark. And we don't see Noah arguing with God about, why should I build an ark? It just said Noah did as the Lord commanded. Kind of like what Peter said. At your word, I'll do it. You tell me what to do, I'll go do it. We don't read that Noah argued back and forth about how tall it was, how wide it was, how big it was, or who's going to be on it or anything. It just says that Noah did all that the Lord God commanded. He didn't ask why. He did it. We can talk about Abraham. When God said to him, Abraham, you go offer your son, your only son. You offer him as a sacrifice. We don't see that Abraham argued with God about, well, why me? Why my son? Why am I supposed to do this? You mean go take him out and offer him up as sacrifice? We don't read him arguing with God about this. Why? He did it. Take your son, your only son. Now we read about Moses. Now Moses did argue with God about it. Why? Why me? Why am I to go? He thought of all kinds of reasons why he shouldn't be the one. But nevertheless, he went. Maybe it is we're thinking of all kinds of reasons why we shouldn't be fishers of men. Maybe we're saying, well, Lord, we paid a preacher for that. Isn't that his job? That's what he's supposed to do. You know, we've got the elders and we've got the deacons. They're our spiritual leaders. They're the ones to go and to teach others. Why me? He said, go and make disciples. Why me? Because Jesus said to. And we can think of all kinds of reasons why we shouldn't do it. Why it shouldn't be me to go. And yet, Peter said, nevertheless, at your word, because you said so, we'll do it. We could be like, well, Lord, I know you said go fish. I know you said go cast a net, but we've got other things to do. We've got something else to do. You know, I know we spent all night fishing. We've listened to the lesson, and now we've got other things to do. We planned to do it that night. We planned things today to do, and now you're telling us to change our plans and go back and go fishing. We could say, well, Lord, I've got other things to do. I've got other plans. Jeremiah 10 verse 23 talks about it's not in man that walketh to direct his own steps. Are we going to follow our plans or the Lord's plans? The Lord said, you go fish. I know what you've done. I know you've been there all night. I know that your plans that you have, but change your plans and do my plans is what he's saying. And that's what Peter said. Nevertheless, at your word, we'll do it. I know you've got plans this week. Plans for tomorrow. But Jesus is saying to you, go make fishers of men. And we can think of all kinds of excuses. Well, I'm just not in the mood, or it's not convenient. I don't understand why me, or I've got other plans. And Jesus said, fish. It could be also, you say, well, listen, Lord, I hear what you're saying. When he's talking to Peter, and Peter said, I talked to the men back there, and we took a vote, and we decided we don't want to do it. We've been doing it all night. We're tired. We've got all kinds of excuses. And listen, if I go back there and tell them we're going fishing, they may rebel against me. I just can't do it. Lord, can you understand that it's just not popular for me to go back and say, guys, we're going back out and going fishing again. That's hard work. It's tiresome work. They've done that. Toiled all night long. And he's going to say, we're going to do it again? Imagine how popular that would be with the people. But he didn't take a poll. He just said, Lord, because you said so. I know we're tired. I know we've been through it. I know we tried that and we didn't have any success, but Lord, because you said to do it, we'll do it. Nevertheless, he says, at your will, we'll do it. In John chapter 12, verse 42 and 43, it is that we read that many of the chief priests, rulers, believed Jesus, but would not confess him, lest they be put out of the synagogue, for they loved the praise of men more than the praise of God. See, they knew what they needed to do. They knew who Jesus was. They believed who Jesus was. You see someone who causes the blind to see or makes the lame to walk or feeds the 5,000. Maybe they were out there in the 5,000 even. They could not deny who he was. They could not deny what he had done. They could say with the rest of the people, no one spoke with such authority as this. And they knew he was, and they believed. But they would not confess him lest they be put out of the synagogue. They would not confess him because that's not popular. Listen, if I confess that Jesus is who he says he is, the people are going to reject me. All my friends are going to reject me. I won't be with the in crowd. In fact, I won't be in the temple anymore. I'll be cast out. And we think of Peter, nevertheless, because you said so, we'll do it. Sometimes it's not always popular to make the decision to become a Christian. Sometimes it's not always popular to say and talk to someone about their soul. If you died tonight, do you know, are you secure that you would go to heaven? Where will you spend eternity? Sometimes it's not always popular to go fishing for men. But Jesus says, go fish. Peter could have thought of all kinds of excuses, couldn't he? One after another after another. What's your excuse? What's your reason whenever Jesus says to you, go fish? Simon answered and said, Master, we have toiled all night long. We have taken nothing. Nevertheless, at your word, I will let down the net. Jesus told them, follow me and I'll make you fishers of men. And he tells us the same thing. And I know we've been fishing. I know you've talked to others about becoming Christians. I know you have. I know you're concerned about their soul. Don't give up. Don't quit. Don't come up with excuse after excuse of why we can't do it. Jesus said, go fish. And our response would be, Lord, I've done it before. I haven't had success before. But nevertheless, because you said so, I'll do it again. Maybe there's someone here this morning that hasn't obeyed the gospel. Maybe you've been thinking about it for some time. And maybe some of these excuses have come up from time to time. It hadn't been convenient. I don't understand why I need to do this. And that maybe it's time to just say, I need to be like Peter and say, I'll do it because you said so. Why wait for the convenient time? Is there a better time than right now? As far as we know, Felix never responded to the gospel. As far as we know, he had every opportunity to hear the word of God and rejected, waiting for a better time. For a more convenient time. But it never came. What about you? What about your soul? If you're not a Christian, why not? Why not now? Why not respond to the gospel invitation right now while we stand and while we sing?